Question, can you support a deal that leaves Canada out of a new NAFTA, and will Congress pass it?
Well, Chris, before I get to that, just let me say, on behalf of the hardworking men and women of this country who wake our country up every day, make her run all day, and put her to bed at night, let me wish you a happy Labor's Day, and all your listeners a happy Labor Day. Look, our economies are integrated. The 3 countries in North America, the economy is pretty integrated. And it's pretty hard to see how that would work without having Canada in the deal. You said that the Mexican deal is closed. There's still a lot of work to be left to be done, even on the Mexican deal, Chris, because the language isn't drafted. We haven't seen whole chapters of the thing. We're anxious to move forward with it and anxious to have all 3 countries involved, because NAFTA has had a devastating effect on the working people of this country for the last 25 years. So we've been aggressively pursuing an agreement that works for the workers in all 3 countries, and I can say we're not done yet.
Okay, but let's talk about the parts of the deal we do know about that the Trump administration has negotiated with Mexico that it seems to me would be pretty good for workers. Let's put them up on the screen. 75% of a car's value would have to be manufactured in North America. That's up from 62.5%. 40 to 45% of the car must be made by workers in whatever country earning at least $16 an hour. Do you support both of those provisions? And frankly, do you think that Mexico would live up to them? For instance, the salary for car workers, because in Mexico right now, the salary for a car worker on average is $3 an hour. Do you think they actually are going to boost that to $16 an hour?
Well, first of all, those provisions can be very, very good. And you said that the current provision is really 62.5. In actuality, Chris, it's only in the 40s because they do a little cheating, saying if you put in 62% and China puts in 38%, it counts as 100%. So it's really lower, and the change is really more effective. We haven't seen the details of it yet, but you hit the nail right on the head. It doesn't matter what's in that agreement. If we can't monitor it and affect it and enforce it effectively, then the agreement will fail for workers and it will fail for the country. So what we're pushing right now, and we're working with Ambassador Lighthouser, is a way to let us effectively monitor what's going on the ground and then enforce the agreement regardless of who's in the White House. Because we've been told for over 25 years, trust us, this agreement will be good for workers. What we need is an agreement that we can enforce no matter who's in the White House. That's what we're looking for.
Let me step back for a minute and go broader view. How does big labor feel about President Trump at this point? I mean, the fact is growth is up, unemployment is down. He's using tariffs to try to break down trade barriers that I know that you hate. So, I mean, what mark do you give Donald Trump on this Labor Day weekend?
You know, when he was elected, I said I would call balls and strikes. When he did something that was good for workers, we'd support him. When he did something that was bad for workers, we would oppose him. Unfortunately, to date, the things that he's done to hurt workers outpace what he's done to help workers. He hasn't come up with an infrastructure program that could put a lot of us back to work. He overturned a regulation that would actually denied over 5 million people overtime that they would have had. He overturned some health and safety regulations that will hurt us on the job. Enforcement of OSHA and MSHA isn't what it should be. So we keep trying to find areas where we can work with him and where we can.
Mr. Trumka, let me ask you, I mean, 3.9% unemployment, 3.5 million jobs created, 4%, 4.2% GDP in the last quarter. I mean, don't you give them something for that?
No, those are good, but wages have been down since the first of the year. Gas prices have been up since the first of the year. So overall, workers aren't doing as well. He passed the tax bill that encourages companies to outsource. We can't agree to support something like that. Every place we can, Chris, we do, but unfortunately right now, the scale is weighted against him because he's done more to hurt workers than to help workers.
So you have launched a new big political campaign for the midterms. You have an ad out on the web right now. Is it your hope that Democrats would take back control of the House and Senate and block the Trump agenda, even those parts that have been good for workers, like creating 3.5 million new jobs?
It's not about Democrats or Republicans. It's about electing people that will support working people in this country. That's what we're looking to do. We started a couple of months ago going door to door, member to member with our members, saying what issues are important to you. We put those together. We're going to put them in front of candidates. Those candidates that support the issues that our members say they want, need, and should have are the candidates that we'll support. It probably will be Democrats because, unfortunately, Democrats support working people more than Republicans have. We'd like to change that, but the reality is Democrats support working people more than Republicans, although we go candidate by candidate, and we support those Republicans that support working people.
Finally, this week, I looked at the presidential exit polls from 2016. Hillary Clinton beat Donald Trump in union households by just 9 points, 51% to 42, which, interestingly enough, is the smallest Democratic advantage since Reagan ran against Mondale in 1984. Question, don't a lot of your members, union members, don't they support Donald Trump?
Well, actually, 3 percentage points more of our members voted for Donald Trump than they did for Mitt Romney. Unfortunately, 10% of our members, 10% fewer of our members voted for Hillary Clinton. They didn't believe her on trade. They didn't believe her on a couple of other issues. But you talked about households. Union members themselves are a much higher percentage in there. Again, we give them all the facts. And I believe in my membership, the rank and file, that when they get the facts, they make the right decision every time. We're giving them the facts on this president and anybody who's running